society as professionals. Of the 8 that we took down, we had a psychiatrist, a dentist, a couple school teachers, a blue-collar worker, a personal trainer. I mean, these people, an ordained minister, these people fit within our society, and you may not have suspected them of being a child molester.
Yeah, my uncle he served in the military, in the Air Force for 25 years. So he was in the military, and then when he got out and he retired, what he did was he moved furniture. So, people probably wouldn't think somebody in the military did that, but obviously I can testify to that, So
now, what I found in NAMBLA was that they typically targeted the parents as much as the children, especially those that were the persuasion predators here in the United States. I'm not talking about the ones that flew overseas to have sex with children, but the ones that targeted children here in the United States. They targeted parents as much as they targeted the kids, because they wanted the relationship with the child, but they wanted the mom, and typically they targeted the single mom. They wanted the child that was seeking a father figure, and so they wanted the mother to believe that all the actions that the man was doing were in furtherance of friendship. And so if in fact the child came to the mom and said, hey, so and so did something wrong, that the parent would say, oh no, he's really a good person, look at all he's done for us, you must have misinterpreted his actions. So there's as many of the boys that the victims, as the men discussed it with me, they went after the single child that was searching for a father figure, which explains often why authorities are shocked because the coach only went after one child, or the teacher only went after one person, or the counselor only went after one person, not 4 or 5 other people. It's because that child was seeking the father figure.
Mm. Well, that makes sense. It fits the profile perfectly. And also, everybody, that also is very true of homosexual activists who target kids as well. The 2 that Randall and I met at the GLSEN conference that really stood out to us, both of those kids came from single-parent homes, and their moms worked. And they were looking for a father. And voila, there you go. Gosh, we could probably talk for hours on this, but I guess we have to start wrapping this up. But I just want you to have an opportunity. First of all, I want everybody, go get the book, The Last Undercover, if you want to know more. It's a good book. It'll be worth whatever you pay for it. So get that. But you have 2 other books, 2 novels. Tell everybody about those.
Right. The first book, The Last Undercover, is a memoir. It discusses the 3-year infiltration of NAMBLA and then a dozen of the other undercover cases. I really wasn't interested in writing specifically about any more of my undercover cases, although there were others that were interesting. But I decided to go the novel route. 1, because it was a little easier to get information from the Bureau, and 2, sometimes you can say more truth in a novel than you can in a nonfiction book. So I've created this protagonist. My hero is Matt Hogan. He's younger and better looking and has more hair than I do, but he's an undercover FBI agent. And in Enemies Among Us, which is the first book, he's targeting a charity that's been infiltrated by terrorists. And then in the second book, Targets Down, he's investigating the death of 2 individuals and the assault of an FBI agent's wife, and it leads him into the world of Russian organized crime and neo-Nazis and human trafficking, and eventually back into terrorism. So it's, I believe, the books have gotten great reviews. They've done well. It's the idea of, it's an FBI agent, but it is written from a Christian worldview. So it's a little different than your Daniel Silva, your Vince Flynn, some of those books. But I think if you enjoy those type of books, I think that you're going to find a similar audience, although this is written from a Christian worldview.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And I love books like yours, so everybody go get those too. All right. Do you have any final comments, Bob?
No, I appreciate you bringing this issue to the forefront. When I talk to church groups or parent groups, particularly about this issue, we can't give you a checklist, and you know this because you're a therapist, and you and Randall have been there. I mean, we can't say the guy's got blonde hair and he's 6 foot tall and he looks like this and he lives with his mother or whatever, that he's going to be a pedophile. What I like to encourage the parents is to act, affirm, communicate, and trust. And if you affirm your child, if a child who believes he's loved, if a child believes that he is worth something to his family and to his parents, he isn't necessarily going to be seeking that father figure. He's not going to go outside the home to seek the affirmation. Communicate. You have to have open communication. The children need to know they can talk to their parents about anything. As you mentioned earlier, secrecy. One of the things that all of these NAMBLA members did, and I think you will agree most pedophiles do, is look, this is our secret. You can't tell mommy or daddy about what we're doing. This will just be our secret. So a child has to know that he can talk to his parents about anything. And finally, it's trust. Ronald Reagan said it best when he was dealing with the Russians, trust but verify. I'm not interested in making you paranoid. I don't want you to lock your kids up in the house until they're 18 and then set them loose. But trust but verify. If someone is spending too much time with your child, if someone is making inappropriate comments, if you don't feel that what is happening is right, then investigate it. There probably is something wrong if you've got that gut feeling that there's just not something right. And listen to your child. Trust your child's feeling. There may be a reason why he doesn't want to sit on Uncle Harry's lap. And it might be because Uncle Harry's got bad breath. But maybe Uncle Harry did something inappropriate, and the child knows it's wrong. He doesn't know how to articulate it, but he knows that it's wrong. And don't force him to sit on Uncle Harry's lap. Don't force him to kiss Uncle Harry or go fishing with Uncle Harry if that's not what he wants to do. Yep.
It's funny you should say all that because I went through all of that. We fished and everything, so it's like there's this playbook or something out there, but it's called Sinful Deviant Human Nature. So everybody just be wise and listen to your gut. That's something a lot of us have to learn how to do because they try to convince you, oh, no, there's nothing wrong, but really there is, and you know it, and they know it. So anyway, Bob, thanks for being our guest. I love that you are out there, that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm assuming you're going to write a new book, right? You're going to write another book, right? Are you? Right?
Yeah, no, I'm about 90% through with the next novel. So
cool. All right. Well, when you get it done, you can come back. Okay?
Okay.
All right, cool.
And not a moment earlier.
Thanks, Randall, for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. All right. Everybody, thanks for listening to this episode. Randall, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Not within just a few minutes. There's a lot of food for thought there, and some of it, kind of bitter to the taste.
Everybody, I realize that this show was probably difficult for some of you to listen to because I'm sure, like me, some of you have been molested by a pedophile. And so if this is you and you've never gotten any help, you've never received help, first of all, I would encourage you to. There's no shame in reaching out to somebody who has been trained or who maybe even they haven't been trained. But if it's something you've never discussed with anybody, I would encourage you to do so. One of the organizations that I actually trust is the Association of Biblical Counselors. Their website is christiancounseling.com, christiancounseling.com. I recommend this group because they actually do counsel biblically. I would also recommend if you are somebody who has been abused and you're in a relationship, if you're married, for example, I would recommend 2 books. One is by Jan Frank, who is actually a licensed marriage and family therapist here in California. She wrote a book many years ago called When Victims Marry. The other book that Dawn and Jan Frank wrote, and I believe it was just Jan, wrote, called, her second book was called Unclaimed Baggage. And that actually, again, goes into a little bit more about this issue. So there are a lot of resources out there, but those are two books I would recommend reading. They're very simple. They're not filled with a lot of lingo from the psychology field. Or you can email me. Hey, I've gone through this, and I have the degree. So if you want to share your story with me, feel free to email me at Stacy, STACY, at activechristianmedia.com. I know there are a lot of you out there because the research shows there are tons of people out there that this has gone through, that you've gone through, and you're not alone. You are not alone, and your story matters. So if you want to share it with me, feel free to email me. And, of course, I keep everything confidential. But most importantly, you have to know that it wasn't your fault. Pedophiles are calculated people. They do it in secret, which is what we just talked about. You know that. And there is help. There is totally help, and God loves you. And I know that might sound horrible or not even reasonable that God would love you and let that happen to you, but the truth is He does. God desires for no child to be hurt in that manner. It's a violation of who they are as a person, but even more so because we're created in God's image. Jesus even told the disciples, don't hinder children to come to me, because if you do, that person, it would be better if a millstone was hung around his neck and he would be thrown into the depths of the sea. Harming a child, God considers punishable by death according to that principle there. So there are very serious consequences to that, and, just know that God was just as ticked off, if not more so, than you are if that happened. And, of course, I could go on and on. And obviously we would like to hear your thoughts on the show as well. I think we're probably one of the few people I know who are actually even covering this issue, rather. So spread this show to your friends so that they can understand what's going on. Thank you for listening to this show. Remember, go on, you're a king.